Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Just gonna wait a minute for a few more folks to join and we can go ahead and get started. Really appreciate you guys joining on a Saturday. Hope you guys are doing good.
Do I have to hit start video or no?
Oh no, you don't have to turn your camera on. You can leave your mic on mute for the first 45 minutes, and then we're gonna open it up for questions for the last 15, 20 minutes. You do not have to share your camera if you do not want to. Hey, how are you? So we'll just wait a minute and we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for joining. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marcus Daniels. I'm a commercial real estate broker in the DC metropolitan area, and I'm really glad to be able to have a seminar today for you all talking about how to win commercial real estate listings. Thank you all for joining again. For those who are currently real estate agents, hopefully this is helpful. For those who are expiring real estate agents, I hope this is going to be really helpful as you're considering getting started in commercial real estate brokerage, or if you are currently in commercial real estate brokerage, this is for you. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. You do not have to share your camera. You can keep your mic on mute if you can for the first 45 minutes. I'm going to do a presentation and essentially talk to you all about how to win commercial real estate listings, and then we'll open it up for the last 15 to 20 minutes for a Q&A. For those who are currently joining but may have to hop off, I am recording this session, so I will share it with each and every one of you all who has joined and signed up online via Eventbrite. So if you need to step away, no worries. This recording will be shared. And if you all have any follow-up questions following this conversation, feel free to either message me on Instagram, or you can reach out to me directly and I'll provide my direct phone number. So for those who are real estate agents in the room, if you could just use the chat box and just let me know how long you've been in the business, if you're currently, where you're currently located, and what you're hoping to gain from this conversation today. That would be super helpful. I've been in the commercial real estate business now for over 8 years. When I first started in the real estate business, I had no friends, no family in the business, and really no idea how to win commercial real estate listings. I didn't know a bunch of building owners. I didn't know a bunch of investors. And really, I had to start from the beginning of just learning how to build my business. And my hope is that what I share with you all today will be helpful as you all continue on your own personal journey. Just a little bit about myself. I'm from Prince George's County, Maryland. I had the opportunity to attend Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and the University of Michigan for graduate school, and moved back to Maryland about 10 years ago, where I worked in politics and banking before I took a leap of faith and started in the commercial real estate brokerage business. Over the past 8 years, I've had the pleasure of selling over $100 million worth of commercial real estate, including office buildings, shopping centers, industrial warehouses, land, as well as specialty properties such as churches, schools, daycare centers, car washes, and all types of properties. And so my testimony, I hope, will help to inspire you all and give you the confidence that you can do it too. And certainly this is an opportunity for you all to network as well with fellow real estate agents. So feel free to use the chat box as well to network amongst each other. I think we have some people who are from the DMV area, some people from Atlanta, some people from Miami, LA, all over the country. So feel free to connect. And hopefully there'll be some meaningful relationships that come from this. So let's dig in and go ahead and get started. Let's get started. So when I first started in the commercial real estate business, I made it a point to have a mentor. At the time when I was 27 years old, I was partnered with a senior broker in my office who was 73 and had been in the business for over 35 years. And that experience, that mentorship and that guidance was super helpful in me being able to grow and scale my business. One of the first things that I did, and I encourage you all to do as you are starting in commercial real estate brokerage, is to make sure that you are intentional about the type of clients that you want to work with and the type of properties that you would like to hopefully sell. And so as a part of that, it's important to be able to understand your current network and also be intentional about the type of properties or owners that you would like to work with. And so the first tip that I would give you all is to take a moment, if you could, and pull out your phone and go through all your contacts. Go through your contacts from A to Z and make a list of all of the individuals that you know that are either leasing commercial property, that own commercial property, or have expressed an interest in buying commercial property, and keep that list, because that is going to be really your initial sphere of influence to help you, one, get referrals, two, build your client base, and three, being able to promote yourself in the listings that you will ultimately have so you can build your network. Secondly, one of the analogies that I was taught early on in the business is that in commercial real estate, we are not fishers, we are hunters. And so, as I mentioned, you want to be very intentional about the type of properties that you would like to go after and sell in your particular market. So it's important to have good data. It's important to have good data and information related to property owners, related to buildings, and related to the current status of those buildings, whether they're for lease or for sale, or if there's properties that you may drive by or become familiar with, whether online or through a friend that may be potentially going onto the market or are vacant. And so data and information is really important to get started. Without this data and information, it's really difficult to be able to be intentional about the type of properties that you would like to sell and or lease. And it's critical that you have that information. And so how do you get that? How do you build that information? There are a number of tools and resources that you can use both publicly and privately to be able to do that. Publicly, there in each city or each county and state, there are essentially databases of property owners' information. And so, as an example, in the state of Maryland, there is a website called the SDAT, or the State Department of Assessment and Taxations, where you could do a property search based off of a specific address or a particular owner's name and find out when they purchased the property, how much they purchased the property for, but more importantly, the owner's name and the owner's mailing address, so you can reach out to them. One of the tools that I've used over the years to be able to make contact with owners is by sending very targeted letters to owners, offering, one, introducing myself to them and letting them know about the services that I, as well as our brokers, can offer to them if they are considering selling or leasing their property. But more importantly, helping them to understand the current market conditions. A lot of folks in the industry right now have been talking with clients and property owners about where the market is today and where the market is headed. And that type of information and that type of knowledge as a professional in the business is super helpful, because you are essentially the go-to person to help them to understand what opportunities may be available in the market, or if you're talking to an owner, what opportunities may exist with their property. And so typically what I like to offer to property owners is the opportunity to learn more about what their current real estate needs are, as well as helping them to understand what the current value is of their property, and understanding what is the highest and best use for their property, what is the potential value they could get for the property if they decided to sell the property, and or if they were to decide to lease the property as well. So providing that type of opportunity for owners to learn more about the market, and then more specifically for you to help them understand based off of
Oh, Lawless is on this call.
market is what's available. What is available in terms of, hey, what have similar properties sold for over the past year? What are the current price per square foot sales prices for similar properties to theirs in the immediate area? And how has their property become more attractive or potentially less attractive over the past several years? And so one of the things that is really important is to be able to understand how to value commercial real estate. I've been doing classes and seminars for the past 4 years, teaching people how to get started in the business. And one of the videos that I've done in the past is in one of the parts of the mentorship program I offer is teaching people how to correctly value commercial real estate. The way that you value an office building is different than how you value an apartment building. Or the way that you will value a retail strip center may be different than how you value an industrial warehouse or a piece of land. And so really being able to understand those technical skills and being able to understand how to value those properties is critically important. We will not be going into great detail about that today, because it will take, that typically takes about 2 to 3 hours to do that. But for those who are interested in learning more about that and building that skill set, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. Again, when you reach out to owners by sending letters to them, to the owners, you want to create a very personalized letter to them that allows for you to be able to have the opportunity to speak with them and offer your services. So typically what I would do is I'll make a list of a specific market. So as an example, like the city, and let's give an example in Maryland, it may be Oxon Hill, Maryland, and I'm looking to reach out to all of the industrial warehouse owners for 10,000 square feet or more in a particular market. And that information, like I said, can be pulled publicly from websites from the state or from the county, looking at the tax records and property bills. But you also, if you are a real estate agent and you are affiliated with a brokerage that both does residential and commercial, if you have access to CoStar, you can use CoStar and LoopNet as a tool to be able to quickly pull that data and information and create lists. For those who do not have access to CoStar and LoopNet, it is a phenomenal tool that I highly recommend that either you look into learning more about, or you encourage your brokerage to get an account so you can begin to do more commercial real estate deals. One of the important features of CoStar is the ability to gather market information as well. So pulling comps, pulling both for sale comps and for lease comps in a particular area, and looking at the recent sales over the past 12 to 24 months of those types of properties. Now, in the DC area, there's a pretty good amount of volume of sales, but in other markets across the country, there may not be as many sales. So you may have to, like you said, instead of looking at 12 months, you're going out and looking at 24 months of recent sales if there haven't been as many. But that list of properties that you will pull, as an example, we're talking about, the example I just referenced of, all of the warehouses in Oxon Hill, Maryland. If I was to type in Oxon Hill and into CoStar and type and select in the filter for all the industrial warehouses, it will give me a list of all of those owners, the property information, when was the last sale, what it sold for, the price, price per square foot value, how much land, as well as the zoning for that property. And using that information to then be able to essentially prioritize the properties that you would like to go after. So for me personally, I found that from my experience, is being very targeted and very laser focused on those type of properties is really helpful. But before you do that, it's really important to just understand the basics and fundamentals of that particular property. And so CoStar will allow for you to do that, and as well as the public resources that you have in your state or in your local area. So keep that in mind. And I'm just really fortunate to be able to have a variety of experience on all types of properties. And I've been more of a generalist in my career, selling office, retail, industrial, multifamily, as well as land. But there's nothing wrong with being a specialist and focusing in on one particular asset class as well. Pick 2 or 3 asset classes that you would like to focus in the industry in your particular market, and get really good at building those lists of owners and getting the information related to the property, so you can be very laser focused in terms of the types of properties that you would like to go after. Once you prepare this, it's essentially a prospect letter, and you tailor it to this particular owner, you want to provide them with some information about what's going on in their particular submarket. So as an example, in the Oxon Hill, Maryland submarket, there's been a lack of supply of warehouse properties that has driven up pricing both on the for lease and for sale value of industrial warehouses that come onto market. It's a simple formula of supply and demand and understanding the market dynamics that exist in your particular submarket. So because of that dynamic in Oxon Hill, Maryland, there has been essentially a higher demand for those type of properties, which has increased the price per square foot sales price for those properties, and helping owners to understand that, hey, there may be an opportunity for you to extract more value from your property if you were to sell it now, and helping them to understand what the property value is. And so that has been for me really helpful in being able to help owners to just understand what opportunities they may have in the market. Now, owners can range from investors, they can range from business owners, they can also be partnerships. And sometimes, especially for business owners that own their real estate, they may not be keeping up with, the market trends or recent sales or new developments that are coming to area, or government policies and laws that may have a positive or negative impact on their property related to land use and zoning and things of that nature. And so it's all of those types of, all of those types of information are really helpful to be able to provide to an owner. And I've personally found that having that conversation is very beneficial, not only for the owner, but also yourself as you continue to do more in the business. One of the great things about commercial real estate is that you can really help people achieve their dreams and create generational wealth. When I started in the business, that was my motivation to get started in the business, was to be able to help people that may not understand commercial real estate, whether they're an investor or a business owner, and giving them a sense in terms of what opportunities they have. And so as a part of your prospecting and as a part of your business development, information is power, and being able to provide that information to your owners free of charge, not looking for anything in return, is very powerful. And so when you create this list of property owners, you can create a prospect letter template. There are several that are online. I also have several that I've used that I'm happy to share with each of you all if you are interested. Pretty you tailor that letter specifically to that property. When you prepare these letters and you send them out to the owners, typically, the owners are going to get it within a few days or maybe a week. And some of the owners are going to pick up the letter, and maybe they'll open it and read it and call you tomorrow. But there may be some owners that read it and they don't reach out to you for a month or 3 months or a year, and that is okay. what you want to do is to just continue to put yourself out there and essentially provide an opportunity for you to be of service to people. So the letters that you'll send out typically will open the door for you, and that's typically known as the first touch. All of us in the real estate business are very familiar with cold calling. Some people like it a lot. Some people do not like doing it at all. For me personally, I continue to continue to make calls to owners, but the first touch that I make is typically through a letter or some type of correspondence via email if it's a referral, and then following up with a phone call or if they've received a letter and they reach out to you, set up a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting to learn more about how they came to own the property, what their current real estate needs are, and if they have an interest in potentially leasing or selling their property. So those elements, those type of elements are really important in terms of business development and just making sure that you have a variety of ways to be able to touch owners in your market, because unfortunately, in every large market across the country, there are owners that are local, there are owners that are national, and there are owners that are international. And you won't know until you start doing your research and building that data. So it's really important to understand that and help those owners that may not be local on the ground, if you will, to understand what the market conditions are, what opportunities exist. It is critical to be able to have that information, and it's really important to be able to constantly build your list. And so whether you are doing it yourself or you have an assistant or a team member that can provide that assistance, or you're hiring a virtual assistant that can provide that, it is super helpful to be able to have that. I found that the follow-up is critical. You can't just send out a bunch of mass mailers and hope for the phone to ring. You have to follow up with folks. And so being thoughtful about how many of these letters you're sending out on a weekly or monthly basis is important. I found that if I can send out, anywhere from 50 to 100 a week, that gives me the opportunity to give myself time the following week to make those follow-up phone calls and to reach out to those owners. You want to give yourself the ability to be able to follow up and not be in a situation where you're just sending out a bunch of mailers, but you have essentially no follow up at all as it relates to you reaching out to them. That is a part of the life of a commercial real estate broker. You are constantly doing business development. You're constantly promoting yourself, and just sending out letters and making phone calls are not the only ways. As we talked about earlier, building your referral list from A to Z in your phone book and your contacts, going through. So that's if you had a phone for 3-4 years, you might not even realize all the contacts that you have, or even in your email addresses, all the folks that you have in your personal and professional network that either may own commercial real estate properties or can refer you to commercial real estate owners. Social media is another great tool, as well as leveraging the power of networking in your particular market. So whether you're going to business association events, chamber of commerce events, real estate investment group meetings, whether you're going to mixers or you're going to fundraisers or political events, those are all great ways for you to be able to start to build those relationships and essentially build your pipeline of business. I've found that those who constantly are doing business development and are intentional about the types of properties that they want to sell and constantly reaching out to owners and adding value are the ones that are most successful. When you hear back from one of these owners and they reach out to you, you want to be able to help them to consider all of their options, whether they want to do something with their property now or later. I will tell you all, there's been several instances where I've sent a letter to an owner, I follow up with a phone call, I talk with them about their property, I do a broker's opinion of value or comparative market analysis, on their property, letting them know, one, how much the property is worth for sale, how much the property is worth, how much the property can generate in terms of rental income if they were to decide to lease the property as an investment. And I prepared that information for them, and they may decide, hey, we're not ready to sell today or tomorrow, but we'll follow back up with you. And I've had literally those clients reach out to me 6 months later, a year later, and in one case, even 4 years later, and they say, hey, we're now ready to do something with our property. Can you help us? And they remember that because you reached out to them and were willing to add value, looking for nothing in return. That is a really important skill set that successful commercial real estate agents and brokers are able to leverage to help build their business. And so that's something to keep in mind as you all start this journey or continue along your journey, is just being able to offer value to property owners and to potential clients. I have built a business around representing sellers of properties. 80% of my business is representing sellers. I love it. I found that representing sellers, you really have an opportunity to create really create generational wealth for that individual or that business or that family, and you become an expert in terms of those particular properties in your market. It's really critical to be able to understand let me say this. It's really important to be able to manage expectations of sellers. Those who are real estate agents in the room, we've all known for property owners to have a inflated sense of what their property is worth. They may think that their property is worth $1 million when it's really only worth 500,000. You being able to educate and inform them and help them to understand the market dynamics and give them evidence of why you believe their property is worth a certain amount or may not be worth as much as they think, helps them to be able to come to the realization that, hey, if we were to sell this property, if we put the property on the market for this inflated price that we think is worth, the property may not sell for a year or 2 years or 3 years or more. And you've seen that. You've seen that in residential real estate. You've seen that in commercial real estate. So that is an important skill set to be able to help owners understand what the true market value of their property is. Some owners are not going to want to hear the news that you may have to offer them, but some owners may be excited to know that, wow, I didn't know my property was worth 50% more than what we thought it was, or twice as much as we thought it was, or they had no idea of the changes in the market. And so that information is really important. And you'll find that as you have more of these interactions, and as you do more of these essentially analysis and valuations of property, you'll get better and better at it. I've built a business around just being of service to others. If you have that type of attitude, that type of mindset, you're going to be successful, you're going to grow your business, and you're going to make a lot of money in this business. Ultimately, the process that we had just discussed is something that you should consistently be thinking about. And so now let's talk a little bit about the key performance indicators that are important as a part of just being a successful commercial real estate agent and broker. You should be tracking on a weekly basis how many of these letters you're sending out, or if you're sending out emails, how many of those are you sending out on a weekly basis to those targeted owners or clients? What is the response rate that you're getting from those efforts? And so if you're sending out 50 letters and you get 5 people to reach back out to you, tracking what that response rate is. You're sending out letters, and then for emails, if you're using an email server or a platform like a Constant Contact, tracking your open rate on emails as well, so you can be able to see, if how your correspondence is translating into follow-up phone calls, and then hopefully the opportunity to talk to the owners about preparing a valuation for their property. In addition to that, once you get these listings and you are starting to build your pipeline, the other key performance indicators to track are the number of phone calls you're getting on those listings, the number of email leads you're getting, how many tours you're conducting on a weekly basis and a monthly basis, as well as how many offers you're receiving on a monthly basis as well. Helping the owners to understand the results of your efforts and helping them to understand that the market will speak to them and you as it relates to how the market is responding to the pricing of that particular asset. There have been times, particularly over the past 3 years with COVID and the pandemic, where there have been owners that I've talked to that, they put they say, Marcus, we hear you on the valuation, but we want to market the property at this price, which I think, hey, it may be a little high for the market, or it may be very high for the market. And in some cases, depending on if it's reasonable, if it's unreasonable, I'll tell them like, no, this is just not going to sell. I'm not going to waste my time. But if it's within reason, typically what you want to do is to market a property at that price for maybe the initial 30 to 60 days and see what kind of responses you're getting. If you're not getting any like really good leads, or you're not getting tours or offers near that price, you may have to have a conversation with the owner and helping them to understand that, look, if it's their goal to want to move the property, quickly, then they're going to have to adjust their expectations related to pricing. What you don't want to do is develop a reputation of listing, properties that are just overpriced, because one, in the brokerage community, folks will start to look at other new listings that you have and say, yeah, this may be overpriced too. Or owners that are in the business and that own other properties may come, that are tracking new listings and what's coming onto the market, may have less confidence in your ability to successfully price the assets. And so that's something to keep in mind. I also recommend that you take a tour of the property. Before you can do the valuation, you want to ask the owners of the property, if you have an opportunity to meet with them at the property, and ask questions about the property. One, how has it been currently operated? Is it being used by the owner? Are there tenants in the building? What is the construction type of the building? When was it built? What are the recent capital improvements that have been made to the property? And what capital improvements may need to be made to the property moving forward? Also understanding what the operating expenses are for the property, as well as looking at the zoning for the property and thinking about what other potential uses could go into the property, so you have a full understanding of all the potential. Just because a property is, as an example, like a restaurant today, doesn't mean it's going to be a restaurant forever. It could be converted into a medical facility. It could be converted into a retail store. It could be converted to a number of things. But the zoning and land use guidance in your particular city or county is going to help you to understand what those opportunities look like. And so building those skill sets is something that it takes time. When I first started, with the first one that I did, it probably took me about close to a week to be able to successfully complete it. The more that of these valuations that I did, the better that I got. And now I can do, essentially 2-3 valuations in a day. It may take me, 2 to 3 hours, if that, to be able to put together, because of the repetition of continuing to get better at doing it. And so, again, the best piece of advice that I can give you all is just to dive in, be comfortable being uncomfortable. And the more that you do, the more that you're going to learn. I've made mistakes early on in my career when I was going through the process, but it was helpful that I had, other senior agents and brokers in my office that I could ask for advice. Well, how would you approach this? How would you value this asset? And then ultimately, I had a great mentor who helped to really train me in the right way so that I wouldn't make critical mistakes and, ruin my reputation. And so that is really important. And I think that when owners see that you're willing to go the extra mile, you're willing to meet them at the property, talk with them, get as much information that they may have on the property, including appraisals or property conditions reports or maintenance reports or notices from the city or the county or the state related to the property. Like all of that information that you receive from them, you want to review and understand and ask questions, because ultimately they know the property the best. They know it probably better than you do in terms of how it's being used or issues with the property or renovations with the property. So talking with them is important so that you can incorporate all of that into your valuation. I'm going to pause there for questions that folks may have. And I appreciate you guys, sharing your information here in the chat. So if you have any questions as we're going through and talking about winning commercial real estate listings, just feel free to start putting them in the chat, and I'll start to answer you all's questions, and we can dive in a little deeper. And if you want to come off mute, you can do that as well. Either way, I'll pause for a couple of questions and then we'll continue along. And I see we have people from Atlanta, from New Orleans, Morehouse brother, shout out to you, Brother Turner. All right. Oh, okay. So at least ask a question related to: are you afraid that the owners will take your valuation data and go with other agents? Good question. Good question. That is always a possibility. Anytime you prepare anything for an owner, there's no guarantee that just because you prepare an analysis evaluation that they are going to sign a listing agreement or a representation agreement with you. But that in most of the cases that I've done this, that has not been the case. Maybe once or twice it's happened where I've gone after a listing where the owner is essentially actively looking for an agent to sell their property. And then they may say, oh, well, we want to interview other agents. They haven't shared my valuation with them, but it may give them a sense in terms of, the ranges of values based off of my perspective, my own personal and professional opinion, but then also having other brokers do the same thing. And so unfortunately those types of things can happen, but there's very rare that it does happen. And that shouldn't stop you from going through the process of doing it. And ultimately, what you want to do is to be able to show that, hey, you are better than the rest, and make your value proposition so that if they do decide to list the property with an agent, that you at least are going to have the opportunity to interview and present your marketing plan and strategy for how you plan to sell and or lease that building or that property. Great question. Great question. All right. So again, it is really good to be able to look at how how often you're doing this and blocking off time on a weekly basis. As I had mentioned, I spend a good amount of my time doing transaction management, but also doing business development. So you want to make sure that you are being intentional about that. So Lawless asked the question: if I or my brokers does not have CoStar, how do I get owners' phone numbers and mailing addresses? So as I had mentioned, if you don't have CoStar, you can use other resources. So I can just give you all a few of the private ones. You can go to your state or your county, type in that property address, and it's going to give you a property record that will have the owner's name, and it should have the owner's address. Okay, so once you get the owner's name and the owner's address, what you want to do is you want to copy that information, and then you want to search for it on Google or search for the property owner's phone number on white pages. There are private platforms such as Prospect Now that I've used in the past to be able to get owners' phone numbers. Getting owners' email addresses can be a little difficult because email addresses, sometimes they're not accurate or they can change. But that is definitely the things that I'll recommend that you all do. I do all three. I'll use the state or the county's database of properties. I will look on CoStar for that information. And then once I get the owner's name, whether it's an individual name or an LLC, I will go through the process of trying to find a number that I can put in my list to make those follow-up calls. Now, if you don't have the time to do it yourself, if you have a team or you have an assistant or virtual assistant or someone in your office that is administrative assistant that can help you with that can help to alleviate your time so you can focus on the high level tasks that you need to do in order to close deals. So that includes following up with leads for properties, conducting tours, writing offers, reviewing contracts, and doing transaction management so you can get the settlement. So those are just some of the resources. There are others as well. Elisa mentioned that CoStar can be expensive, but it's worth the investment. I found that it's definitely been a good investment for our brokerage, and for brokerages that are both doing residential and commercial, or just even residential brokerages that are looking at building their commercial brokerage division. Is definitely something that I recommend that you at least consider looking into, because it's definitely a viable resource. In addition to that, and this is, Shonda asked a question, do you go after foreclosures? I do not go after foreclosed properties, but I do closely monitor information related to, go after properties that have information related to defaulting on loans, or for properties that were bought at the height of the market that have high vacancy. And so again, that information you're not going to find on a public website. That is the type of information that you're going to find on CoStar or a LoopNet website, so that you can be able to understand, okay, is there a stronger likelihood that this particular owner may be looking to sell their property because maybe they bought at the top of the market, or they have just tremendous amount of vacancy. So it's a situation where they may be more likely to sell their property. So really good question. Great. So great question, Ashley. On your mailers, what content do you include to catch the seller's attention? So typically with the letter, you will want to include your company brochure, and you also will want to include information about yourself. So if you have like a professional profile that your company has put together, that you put together, that tells them a little bit about yourself, tells them about your experience in the market. But if you don't have a lot of experience, really leveraging the experience of your company. If they have had agents and brokers in your company that have done commercial deals, so you're essentially leaning on the experience of your company to be able to demonstrate your experience. Now, if as I had mentioned, when I started, I had a mentor. I worked with a senior broker in my office that was doing commercial real estate brokerage for over 30 years. I highly recommend, if you are just getting started, to try to either partner with a senior agent or broker in your office that has done commercial real estate brokerage for some time, has experience closing deals, or find a mentor that can help you to build those skill sets. Because ultimately, a lot of the skill sets and things that you need to be successful in brokerage is not taught in a book, and it's not taught in your licensing course. You have to just do it, and you have to have a more experience doing it so that you can learn how to learn how to get really good at it. So the second question related to, is it just a flyer about comps of their property, or are you sending a pitch letter? So again, it depends on what your strategy is. In some cases, I do send out maybe a list of recent sales that have occurred in that area to the owner, particularly if I think that the owner is thinking about selling the property, or if I get a warm lead that, oh, this owner is going to be selling the property, or thinking about selling the property, I may include a list of recent comps, or just include information about recent properties that our company has sold similar to that property. But you definitely want to, at a minimum, you want to include your company brochure, information about yourself, and then also your card with your contact information so they can follow up with you. Also, on CoStar, they have reports that you can pull, which are market reports, particular to a specific type of commercial property, as well as sell and lease comp reports as well. That information is good to provide, but again, that's not going to tell the whole story and give them a clear sense in terms of what their property is worth. But it's good to include that to get them that information, but then also to help them to understand the market conditions. Really, really good question. All right, let's see. Lawless asks, when you do get on the phone with the owner, how much time do you have to say what you need to say? Does anyone hang up? How do you capture their attention quickly? Well, one, I think it's important when you're following up with the owners. One, you do want to be respectful of their time. So with that, you want to call them, you want to introduce yourself, you want to let them know that you sent the letter, confirm that they received the letter, and then ask them if they have some time to set up essentially an in-person meeting or a Zoom meeting or a phone call for you to further discuss the property, and if they have an interest in you doing a free property valuation for them. So the initial phone call, the follow-up phone call with the owner, that could be a quick 2-3 minute conversation, or it may go into a little bit of a longer conversation if they're willing to share more information about, one, their goals and objectives with the property, and then two, more information about the property in general, like what the condition of the property is, if it has tenants, what is the lease term on those tenants, what's the lease rate, how much income are they making, what is from the building and the property, what is the operating expenses. So you can ask those probing questions, initial probing questions, to help to just understand at a high level what the opportunity may be for the property. But generally, what you want to do is to send set up a call with them, or meet them in person at the property so you can tour it, and that's going to help you in terms of doing the valuation. But again, you don't want to call them, talk their head off for 30 minutes. You want to be respectful of their time. And like I said, if they're local, see if they can meet you at the property. If not, just set up a phone call or a Zoom meeting to further discuss the property, and then pitch it again that, hey, in order for you to prepare an accurate property valuation, you would like to have the opportunity to tour the property, see the inside, walk through the property with them, ask questions, understand the building systems, understand the process for the process that they undertook in terms of property maintenance, understanding the condition of the building systems, whether it's the HVAC, the roof, the electrical and plumbing systems as well. Those are the things that you can leverage, the information that you can leverage from the owner that helps you to be able to build essentially a stronger pool of information so you can do a more accurate valuation. Really, really good question. All right. Do you, Elise asks, do you have a course on listing properties, e-marketing and use, listing appointments, email campaigns, etc.? Yes, I do. I'm currently mentoring real estate agents in the business. I can share that information with everyone who signed up afterwards. Depending on where you are in your career, I work with beginners. I work with folks who have been in the business for a couple years, and I also work with experienced agents that have been in the business but may have not had have been able to build their business as quickly as they would like, or work on the type of listings that they would like to. So yes, feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in mentorship, or if you're interested in that course material. The mentorship program is a combination of course material that helps you to build the technical skills that you're going to need to be able to value commercial real estate, but then also building your confidence in terms of speaking the language of commercial real estate. As with anything, when you first starting out in commercial real estate, you have to learn the language so that you can talk the talk when you are talking with investors, talking with owners, talking with brokers and agents in the industry. So that can be very helpful. As an example, when I first started I remember my first week in the business, one of the first things that we did as a part of my training was we went through a commercial real estate glossary of all the terms in commercial real estate. And you know what, for those who are beginners in the room, I'm happy to share that glossary with you all, just like the key terms that you need to know to be able to talk the language of commercial real estate brokerage. In addition to that, also being able to understand how to use that information and use that language in the right and at the right moments. And so understanding how to analyze a lease agreement, understanding how to analyze a contract or a purchase and sale agreement, and that the skill sets related to negotiation as it relates to, okay, how do I structure this deal at a high level before the attorneys get involved in reviewing and giving their feedback and analysis as it relates to a letter of intent or a contract. At a high level, understanding each element of a lease agreement or a contract is really important. Unfortunately, I found that it's a number of real estate agents just haven't had the training to be able to understand that every lease agreement is different, every contract is different. And in some cases, you may not know every word, you may not know every term or every clause, but you can look it up, but you could talk to a real estate attorney that may be in your network or that your company has done business with before, and ask them a question or shoot them an email. So that goes back to what I was talking about earlier in terms of building your network and your relationships as it relates to people in the industry. Some of my closest friends in the industry are real estate attorneys, they're bankers, they are consultants, they're engineers, they're architects, they're developers, they are land planners from the city or from the county, and they're people who have a specialized expertise in certain parts of commercial real estate that can help you to be able to learn more, and it ultimately help to give you the answers that you need to be able to do the valuations that you want to do for your prospective clients. So really good questions, guys. I'm really enjoying this. Let's take a few more questions before we wrap up, and I'll give an opportunity for folks to again share their contact information in the chat, and then I am going to share all of my information with you all for free videos that I've done in the past talking about how do you identify a good deal from a bad deal, getting commercial real estate brokerage 101 videos. And then for those who are interested in mentorship, I'll send out that link as well. We could set up a 30-minute call for you to learn more about the program if you're interested. I'll give you all my personal cell phone number as well. If you all could just text me, and so that way I can save your personal number. I have all you all's email addresses, but if you want to text me, I can quickly respond via text. Any questions that you all may have, if you just forgot to ask it here in this session, or something comes up that you have a question about. In addition, the mentorship program also provides an opportunity to go through the valuation of different types of commercial property. Several of my mentees right now at the point where we've gone through essentially each type of valuation for multifamily, office, industrial, retail, land, as well as specialty properties such as churches and schools and daycares and government properties. And so being able to just have the repetition and doing it more and having a mentor, for me, that was super helpful. Like I feel like I put I kind of fast tracked my career because I was able to learn from other people's mistakes, one, but two, being able to learn how to do things the right way. So you all to take a look at that information. If you have any questions, just feel free to let me know. So with that, any questions that folks may have before we get ready to wrap up? I do appreciate you all joining. This is I enjoy doing these seminars and enjoy giving people just some free game and nuggets so that they can begin to understand strategies and tips to being successful in the business and getting started. And as I mentioned, I got a bunch of free content on my page. If you are on Instagram, you can follow me at Marcus and Daniels, and just feel free to go through videos and information that I've shared in the past. And if you have any questions, just feel free to let me know. So the floor is open, guys. Feel free. We have another 5 or 10 minutes here, and I could just take questions that you all may have, and then we will wrap up. Any questions? Because you guys are giving a lot of great questions. And again, I'm still learning. It's amazing. Commercial real estate has a way of keeping you humble because every deal is different. Every property is different. You're going to learn as you do more. You do more in the business that how much you know, but then how much more you need to learn. And so it definitely keeps you humble. And I don't claim to know everything, but I understand that. Just understanding that this is a business that you have to be a lifelong learner and just continue to get better. So you all are obviously doing that, taking time out of your Saturday to join this, and I do appreciate you all taking time out of your weekend to join. So let's take a few more questions. All right, Elise asks, the commission takes a long time to receive. How do you sustain in between? Great question. Great question. So this is why it's important to create a business plan for your commercial real estate brokerage business. We provide opportunity for business planning, business and strategic planning as you're considering getting into commercial real estate brokerage, or if you've already started refining the strategies that you've done. So that is the first step that we do in the mentorship program, is going through your essentially the business that you've done in the previous year, and then thinking about your business strategy for the next year. It's still early in 2023. We're still in the first quarter, so we can still do a business plan for you for this year and just help you to be very laser focused in terms of your goals and objectives. But that is a great question because you have to do a little bit of everything. You can't just represent buyers. You just can't represent sellers. You want to be able to mix in some leasing as well. Now, typically leasing transactions get you paid quicker than selling a commercial property, because most commercial properties that are being sold, most of the buyers of those properties are getting financing. It may take 45 days at a minimum for their due diligence because they have to get appraisals and environmental reports and title work done. And then closing may be 15, 30 days, or maybe 45 days after that. So it can be a window from anywhere to 60 to 90 days before that deal closes. Whereas lease agreements, typically when you're doing leasing, those transactions can happen much quicker. I mean, I've done lease agreements that I've gotten paid commissions from that where a client of mine is a prospective tenant. They go to a building, we tour the building, we negotiate the letter of intent, and then within a week, we're essentially negotiating a lease agreement. Their attorney is reviewing it, providing comments, sending it back to the landlord, and then maybe another week goes by or 2 weeks, and we have an executed lease agreement. And once that lease agreement is executed and the the ink is dry on the paper, depending on the structure of that lease agreement, I may get paid 100% at the signing of the lease. I may get paid 50% of my commission at the signing of the lease, and then the other 50% when the tenant occupies the building. But leasing typically is a little quicker and can help to sustain your business as you are also going after listings to sell, and also as you are representing buyers. And so that's a really, really good question. I found that you have to mix it up. You just can't do 100% of one thing. You have to have variety. Though I would say a majority of my business is representing sellers. So Lawless asks, do you have a better commission split as a broker in your brokerage than just being an agent? It's specific to your brokerage, and our brokerage is very good as it relates to commission splits, and it's really good as it relates to seniority as you get promoted and you do more deals. And so it's a case by case basis. But what I found is that the more, typically from not only my brokerage but also other brokerages that I have friends that work at that have shared with me, the more business that you do, the more money that you're going to make, and the better that your commission split is going to be. So again, as you're considering, if you are considering brokerages to affiliate with, or if you're looking at just joining a sole commercial real estate brokerage, those are the types of questions that you want to ask as it relates to, what is the commission split? Is it based off of seniority? Is it based off of a sliding reduction scale based off of how much gross commissions you are generating? But that's a really, really good question. And that's something that, you want to be intentional about with your brokerage, or if you're considering joining another brokerage, what you're doing. And let's see, take a couple more questions. Lawless asks, in the beginning of your career, did you have a job, flip residential property, have rentals? Yeah, so great question. Like when I started in the business, I had previously worked in banking for about 3 months, and I was making some good money, but I had left that secure job of a salary, getting paid every 2 weeks, benefits, all that. And I left it, and I had about close to a year's worth of savings to cover all of my basic needs. Like, all right, I might have to pay a mortgage. I might have to put gas in the car, food on the table, but be in those necessary expenses. But other than that, I wanted to live very lean and not spend a lot of money unnecessarily, because I knew that it may take me, 2-3 months to close my first deal. Fortunately for me, when I first started, like I told you, I partnered with a senior broker in our office who was at the time in his early 70s. I said, look, I'll help you with these certain listings that you have where you need some assistance, whether it's showing the properties, whether it's doing more of kind of the mundane tasks of research or pulling together lists or putting together marketing lists or email lists. As I'm getting trained, and as a part of that, we'll split the commission 50-50, or maybe we'll split the commission 60-40 or 70-30 in certain instances. So that type of me offering that, it was really helpful, because I was able to not just go in on my own and say, man, I gotta just do everything on my own, but I can partner with someone and I can get trained on the job. So that's a really good question. If your brokerage has a commercial real estate division, try to partner with the successful agents that are doing it, and doing it, have done not just one deal, but have done several deals that you recent deals that you can point to and say, okay, they know what they're doing. Or talk to your broker about it too. That could be super helpful, and just making sure that they are pairing you with the right person that can help you to grow. And ultimately, if you don't have that type of person in your brokerage, that's why I'm offering mentorship, because I found that from my experience, that was very unique. And I'm talking to other people, and even talking to my current mentees, like they just didn't have that opportunity or someone in their brokerage to help to fill that void. So really good question. Really good question. But no, I went right when I got my license, I went right into commercial. I didn't flip houses. I didn't, do Airbnbs or wholesaling. I just, saved enough money, really like 6 to 9 months worth of my expenses. And then I dove right into it, and I was like, I got to hit the ground running. I got to start making deals. As we had just discussed, leasing gets you paid a little quicker than sales. Some deals that you do in sales, they can take you up to, like I said, 90 days on the shorter end, or up to a year. For land, it may take you up to a year or 2 to 3 years to get paid. But the fact of the matter is that you have to build your pipeline so that as you do more and you close more deals, you constantly have a steady flow of cash that's coming into your business. Really good questions. I could take one more question, and then I'm going to share my contact information with you all, and we will wrap up for today. And I will send a follow-up email to you all. It probably will go out tomorrow, because I am about to go to a wedding for one of my friends that is getting married. But I'm really just glad I could share with you all today on just tips and secrets of how to win commercial real estate listings. Obviously, everything cannot be covered in an hour, but just giving you, an initial taste of the type of strategies that that I've used and that other people use to be able to get commercial real estate listings. So, any final questions? And then I'll share my while folks are thinking of questions, I'm gonna put my cell phone number in the chat. My cell phone number is 301-275-4005. And feel free to text me with your name and your contact information. And with any questions that you have, or if you're interested in learning more about the mentorship program, I'm happy to share with you guys. All right. Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate you guys. This has been fun. I enjoy doing this. It's always dope. I look forward to working with you all, and hopefully we can close some deals together. Like, I would love to do some deals with you all. I am based here in the DC area. I'm also based in Atlanta. So for those who are in the DMV or in Atlanta, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to connect with you all. And if we can do business together, that'd be awesome. If I can be a resource in any other way, feel free to let me know. If you have a question about a deal that you're working on, or you just need guidance, feel free to reach out to me as well. I'm just really glad to do this. And I started, for those who are just starting in the room, I'll just leave you all with this. Like, when I started, I didn't know anything about commercial real estate.
Come on.
That is my
Come on, baby.
And I'm happy to share with you guys.
Come on, good kitty.
Any final questions, Shonda? Any final questions before we wrap up? All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll send out the recording and the follow-up notes and the links. And again, thank you all so much. This has been fun. Hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you.